Well, hello and good morning. As you can see, the story that we have today is sort of continuing with what we were talking about last week. The little white lies and the lies all together. And let's just go in here. We're going to look a little bit into some history. So as we look into some of this history, we're going to see how even those back in the day that wanted to, pump up religion and all this other stuff, they were known for their myriad of lies and their purpose for lying. This article that I'm going to read to you is really going to explain exactly where the lies start, how they start, why people do it as far as the public politicians and, what their differences are between the politicians and the citizens and why they believe it. Now, listen, back then, in the particular time of the story that we're about to read, you're going to see that religion and the politics were all together. That's right. What you're going to see is that the religion and the politics were sort of all combined in this story. I thought this was an interesting read. And so I want to let you guys in on it. So let's get into the story. Hey, Joy Trujillo. So here we go. I'm going to get right into the story because I want you guys to hear this. All right. So now the story says, little white lies. There is value in a leader who lies, but only if it's done for the greater good. Well, the story was published in History Today, volume 72. The issue date was April the 4th of 2022, and it was written by John Hill. Okay, John Hill. So we're going to go on ahead and read it. We're going to go on ahead and read it and get right into it, but I think you guys are going to see exactly what I'm talking about, how it is definitely exactly like what we talked about last week. The deception runs deep, and if we can just sort of pinpoint the fact that it's exactly like it is now, how you can see people and you want to believe everything they're telling you, well, you may just go on ahead and figure out why it's conditioning us the way that it is, because apparently it's been going on some time. So let's get into the article. The article says that is it ever right to deceive on purpose? In the West philosophical tradition, the answer, shaped by early and medieval Christian thinkers for whom lying was incompatible with a life well lived, the answer was no. But at the end of the 15th century, however, the retired intellectual and politician Giovanni Pontano broke with this tradition. Having lived through the collapse of a Renaissance Mediterranean empire, Pontano advanced two extraordinary theses. The first, that misleading another person for the sake of maintaining the state and one's fellow citizens, it was virtuous. And second, that any prudent person could alter the truth regardless of class, age, gender, or education. The democratization of deception. Pontano worked in Naples, the center of culture and intellectual life in the Renaissance Mediterranean in the late 1400s, within two generations of Trastevere, Aragon's royal family, who conquered Naples from the Angevin French in 1442. They had built their new Italian kingdom into a flourishing political power with an explicitly Hispanic character and imperial ambition. At its height, Naples surpassed Florence, Rome, and Venice. Humanists bolstered Trastevere's success. Humanists were scholars, get this, and teachers passionate about recapturing and eventually outdoing the past and about their mission of cultural renewal, which encompassed philosophy, theology, art, grammar, rhetoric, poetry, history, and literature in Greek and Latin. The first generation of humanists responded to the Black Death and the peninsula's conquest of foreign powers, aimed to restore Italy to its ancient glory by recovering the classics. These texts, lost following the fall of Rome, turned figures such as Cicero and Caesar into exemplary epitomes of virtue. Humanists thought that if they taught the next generation of Italy's elite with the same education that the great figures of ancient Rome and Greece received, they would produce a virtuous ruling class on par with, if not exceeding, these classical paragons. These elites would then bring stability to Italy and Europe. The Trastamara were generous patrons of humanists, incorporating them into Naples' new government and hiring them to teach their children. Pantano was one such humanist. Born into poverty, Pantano was quick. He was a quick student, gifted writer, and savvy diplomat. He joined the Trastamarian court in 1447 and rose over the next 50 years to become the kingdom's prime minister and foremost ambassador. Pantano also taught some of the Trasmatarian heirs, writing treatises on the virtues necessary for a prince to have for a state to function properly. Through his knowledge of the classics, Pantano knew that some ancient writers believed deception was vital for leaders to maintain society. In the Republic, Socrates argued that the leaders of the ideal republic must construct a creation myth, which they know to be false, to justify to their citizens why society is divided into castes. Socrates thought lying should be only used by those who govern to benefit the state, but all of the rest of society must avoid anything to do with such a thing, or else good relations between citizens would disintegrate. Though some early church fathers supported this, St. Augustine, now get it, what did they just say? Though some early church fathers supported this, St. Augustine solidified the Christian rejection of deception. Augustine defined a liar as a person who has one thing in his heart but expresses another thing with his words. This definition reflected Cicero's account of simulation and dissimulation, the two vices which Aristotle had opposed to the virtue of truthfulness. Simulation is the excess of truthfulness, when a person makes more of the truth through exaggeration, boastfulness, and ostentation. Dissimulation is the deficiency of truthfulness, when a person downplays the truth through deception or irony. For Aristotle, Cicero, and Augustine, neither were virtuous qualities. Pantano's education and diplomatic efforts were ultimately futile. The French invaded Italy to reclaim Naples, taking the city in 1495. Alfonso II, whom Pantano had taught since childhood, abdicated shortly before the army arrived due to a mental breakdown. In the monarchy's absence, Pantano was senior government official, forced literally to hand over the keys to the kingdom to the French and move which garnered him a reputation throughout Italy as a traitor. By handing over the keys, he was garnered as a traitor. He soon retired amid controversy and disgrace. However, in retirement, Pantano wrote two treatises arguing the virtuousness of simulation and dissimulation. These were desperate times in which the normal qualities of goodness were insufficient. To succeed, good people needed to adopt new virtues, simulation and dissimulation. Far from the necessary evils, Pantano stated that they were morally excellent and worthy of the highest praise. Pantano's treatise celebrated exemplars of virtuous deception. Julius Caesar, who pretended to have more faith in his troops than he really had to prevent their fearing a superior German force. And St. Francis of Assisi, whose deception stopped hunters from killing a rabbit. A nameless, unlearned shepherd boy who downplayed his own cleverness to trick an educated judge. And Pantano's own mother, who feigned not being proud of his accomplishments to make him strive for greater excellence. In every case, Pantano distinguished virtuous deception, which aims at the well-being of others, from vicious deception between fictions undertaking for the sake of public utility and instructing the human race and those undertaking out of insincerity. Pantano never explicitly connects this to the fall of Naples, but his point is clear. Maintaining a state requires not only virtuous leaders, but a virtuous populace. All citizens are responsible for maintaining the well-being of society through virtuous actions, even if it means deceiving for the greater good. I want you all to recognize something which is not separated here, and it is not separated in our current times. You see, in that particular genre, in that particular time, the politicization is what I'm trying to say, or the political peace and belief in God were all one. So in other words, right now today, you see that we are alleged to have had a separation of church and state. But every single thing that's being passed about right now has everything to do with your moral beliefs, which I submit have everything to do with your religion, have everything to do with the church. So if they allow you to believe that you've got choice, isn't it fair to say that if you use this analogy, you simply don't? They're giving you two exact sides to choose from, but they both come out with the exact same results. They lied in order to help the populace along. They lied in order to shift and to shape the narrative to be what they wanted it to be. And this is exactly what's happening today. So it would appear that the question on the thumbnail, have we been lied to all along, would be a resounding yes. That's what I submit, that it is a resounding yes. Now, if you remember a few months ago, I showed you a small video of a gentleman who had been brought into this current administration because, well, we have to talk about the politics of it if we want to understand the whole story, right? All right. So this guy was known to be the chief propagandist. It's right here on the Lockhart Perspective. If you go through some of the old videos, you'll see it. He was the chief propagandist in Washington for the past, several decades here. At least 20, but more than that. And what he said was he believed that lying to the public was necessary. He believes that stretching or being a propagandist or shoving propaganda down the citizenry's throat was a good thing and that it didn't have any problems. It was necessary to make sure that they got things done. Well, it would appear that this has always been their thought process, especially by what we just read. Exactly. What we just read showed us that there is no divisiveness or division between the quote-unquote church and the quote-unquote state. Because in order for them to control everybody has to be drinking from the exact same well, maybe at a different time. But they're all getting their source from the exact same well. I find this extraordinary, especially when you consider there's nothing new under the sun. Absolutely nothing. Well, I think that's good. Let's go on ahead and say hello to a whole lot of folks that we haven't seen in a while. It would appear I see Mindy B is here. Hello to you. Good morning, Rachel Van Ziel. How are you? All right, we had Joy Trujillo started out. Sarah Brown, good morning to you. She says, yes, they lie to us about everything all the time. Nothing new under the sun. Absolutely. Absolutely. Good morning, beautiful people of the room, says Charlie Sigler, our winner from our members only chat the other evening. And it was a fun time. I hope that when we have it again, you all are able to join us. We had a good time, a really good time. Mindy B says, good morning to everyone. Hey, Joy, Sarah, and Fifi, Rachel Van Ziel. Thank you for that. Yes, blessings to you as well, Mindy. Mindy B. Oh, hey, Scan family. It's great to see you. You say hello, everyone. Good to see you listening while planting potatoes, garlic, and onions will be by as soon as the crop is available. That's what we want to know is when you start to pick those delicious potatoes, especially the garlic and the onions, you make sure you let us know so that we can send our burlap bags to your door and you can fill them up and send them to us. Okay? That's what we want you to do. Inger Norman, I spoke of you the other day. Hello, it's good to see you. And Maureen Olson, welcome and good morning. Good morning, Marty Lauderdale. Hello, lady. How's it going? You guys know I have to say good morning and say hey to you. There's pretty lady Sharon Marie. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you. We have to say hey every now and again because you never know. You just never know. But isn't it amazing to find out that they are exactly the same? Now, let me tell you something else that I found very, very odd. Not odd, but very unique. Because, some people will say, well, when they came over here, they were running away from X, Y, or Z. No, they weren't. They were not running away from not being able to worship. What they were being run away from was the fact that they had gotten kicked out of Spain. That's what they were running away from. And then they drug everything that they were doing there and then that worked for them there. They just brought it here. But see, it wasn't working that well. Wherever they were before they were in Spain, it was working somewhat. But they ran into Spain and then Spain kicked them out and then they came here. They already knew where they were going. The cat that came here in 1492, he knew exactly where he was going. Bully dozers, Joy Trujillo says. And Sarah says, I choose neither. Rachel Van Ziel says, like believing there's a difference between red and blue. Most assuredly. And that's the reason why I always say, if you want to make a difference, get involved in local things. Get involved in who your local mayor is. Get involved in who your local people are, because those are the people who go up top and make the decisions for you. But if you don't know who they are, who they mama and them are, who anybody else that who's funding them, who's backing them, how much money do they have, and how did they get so much money? How did they get all this money to run for this particular office? It's this nobody. This person no one's ever seen before. I didn't even know they lived in the county. I didn't even know they lived in the state or the city. Well, because a lot of these folks don't. And they come in and they bring in their thought processes, and those thought processes from those that pay them and those who back them, okay? Those people's, their mindset is eventually what you end up seeing when they get up top. And then you're like, oh, wow, we did what? Our representative said what? He did. Well, it's because you're not doing your homework. You're not doing your homework. Sharon Marie says, brainwashed through the decades, their nefarious agenda always being pushed. Correct. Morning, Alan Davis. How are you today? It's great to see you, kind sir. Great to see ya. Oh, it's okay, Rachel Van Ziel. You'll have to meet us again because I'm telling you, Charlie Sigler was hot. He was hot that night. I don't know. He was hot. And Oz was doing pretty good. She was catching up. Oz was catching up. Yep. Maureen, I'd say they give you black, then give you white, but the actual truth is somewhere in the gray. Absolutely it is. Vine Dressers Branch, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Hugs to you too, baby. Hugs to you too. Okay. I'm hearing Durant's Pace singing in my head. I'm grateful, thankful. Oh my goodness. Can't them sisters sing, Joy? They can sing. If you guys don't know who she's talking about, check out some of the Pace sisters. I think that's who you're talking about, the Pace sisters. And didn't they just lost one of the more famous sisters. Yeah, I think that's who you're referring to. But great vocalist. But so I think it's really important for us to see that Tina Hardman, how are you? It's good to see you. I think it's okay. You know what I think? Oh, he's hiding his face. You can't be shy, Charlie. You cannot be high. You can't be shy. We got another one coming up. We're going to see you guys sharpen yourselves up because you guys see Charlie come with it. All right. So listen, let me just say this. Yes, it was. Yes. That's so sad. Yes. And I'm telling you, those Pace sisters could sing. They used to fill up the whole stage when they would all get up on the stage to sing. There would be like, what was it, about 10 of those girls? The parents had several daughters. But when you talk about could sing, my, hoo-wee, they could really get down. But here's the thing I wanted to talk about, you guys. Plenty of useless info here. But here's the thing that I want to talk about. If you would just notice just for a quick second, how these leaders in that particular time were so adamant that lying to the populace would work. Now, how ironic for Augustine to want to try to flip the script when they were all lying for their own gain. Now, listen, I don't think there's anything that's going to turn us around except for the Father in heaven. And that's the only thing that I think is going to turn us around. But listen, don't you think that if we individually do our thing, then we don't even have to worry about anything else, as long as we sort of encapsulate ourselves in Him. And that's really what we have to do. Because if we look at all the stuff that's gone on, it's amazing. It's amazing that this is something you could literally pull up right now and find that they were lying back then, and they had a reason for lying. Now, I want to see if anybody is here that can possibly remember that video. I'm going to try to see if I can find it, but it was in our videos, and we did it several months ago. I think it was back in 2020. And I was ringing the bell then saying, hey, look. So that means you cannot trust or believe anything else that's about to come out if this cat is signed up. If he's at the party, you definitely cannot believe this cat. Period. And that's what I was saying back then. So I'm trying to look for it right now as we speak. But the deal is that it was a man who they hired who had this history of being the propagandist in Washington. And his statement was he didn't see anything wrong with, shoving propaganda down the voice of down the throat of the people who were supposed to be the followers of the government. It was quite creepy. And I'm looking right now. I wish I had, here he is. I said, now this, that's the name of it. Now this. So I'm going to show you guys this video. For those who have not seen it, we're going to go ahead and share this tab. Make sure that you guys can hear it because the audio was not on before. All right, here you go. I need somebody to give me a 5x5 once this video starts to play so that we know that you all can hear it, okay? To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Thank you. Richard Stengel, the top state media appointee for former Vice President Joe Biden's transition team, has enthusiastically defended the use of propaganda against Americans. He said, quote, "My old job at the State Department was what people used to joke as the chief propagandist," end quote. Stengel said in 2018, quote, "I'm not against propaganda. Every country does it, and they have to do it against their own population, and I don't necessarily think it's all that awful," end quote. Rick Stengel was the longest-serving Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs in U.S. history. At the State Department under President Barack Obama, Stengel boasted that he started the only entity in government, non-classified entity that combated Russian disinformation. That institution was known as the Global Engagement Center, and it amounted to a massive vehicle for advancing U.S. government propaganda around the world. A committed crusader in what he openly describes as a global information war, Stengel has proudly proclaimed his dedication to the careful management of the public's access to information. Stengel outlined his worldview in a book he published this June entitled Information Wars: How We Lost the Global Battle Against Disinformation and What We Can Do About It. Stengel has proposed rethinking the First Amendment that guarantees the freedom of speech and press, and in 2018 he stated, quote, "Having once been almost a First Amendment absolutist, I have really moved my position on it because I just think for practical reasons in society, we have to kind of rethink some of those things, end quote. The Biden transition team selection of a censorial info warrior for its top state media position comes as a concerted suppression campaign takes a hold of social media. The wave of online censorship has been overseen by U.S. intelligence agencies, the State Department, and Silicon Valley corporations that maintain multi-billion-dollar contracts with the U.S. government. As the state-backed censorship dragnet expands, independent media outlets increasingly find themselves in the crosshairs. In the past year, social media platforms have purged hundreds of accounts of foreign news publications, journalists, activists, and government officials from countries targeted by the United States for regime change. Stingel's appointment appears to be the clearest signal of a coming escalation by the Biden administration of the censorship and suppression of online media that is seen to threaten U.S. imperatives abroad. Before being appointed as the U.S. Department's chief propagandist in 2013, Richard Stengel was the managing editor of Time magazine. In the Obama administration, Stengel not only created the Global Engagement Center propaganda vehicle, he also boasted that he, quote, led the creation of English for All, a government-wide effort to promote the teaching of English around the world, end quote. After leaving the State Department in 2016, Stengel became a strategic advisor to Snap Incorporated, the company that runs social media apps Snapchat and Bitmoji. Stengel also found time for a fellowship at the Atlantic Council, a think tank closely linked to NATO and the Biden camp, which has received funding from the United States government, Britain, the European Union, and NATO itself, along with a host of Western weapon manufacturers, fossil fuel corporations, Gulf monarchies, and big tech juggernauts. Stengel worked closely with the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab, a dubious organization that has fueled efforts to censor independent media outlets in the name of fighting, quote, disinformation. But Stengel is perhaps most well known as a regular political analyst on MSNBC. In the Donald Trump era on the network, he fueled Russiagate conspiracy theories, portraying the Republican president as a useful idiot of Russia and claiming Trump had a one-sided bromance with Vladimir Putin. Stengel left MSNBC this November to join Biden's presidential transition campaign. He announced that he was tapped to lead the Biden-Harris Agency Review Team for the United States Agency for Global Media. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective. So as you can see there, that's the long and the short of it, right? That's the long and the short of it. And that's the reason why I say that it has been a practice that has worked. If it had not worked, they would not do it. They wouldn't have had a need for a cat like this. This guy has made his living off of propaganda. Could you imagine being married to him? You know, I don't know him, but I do know that if that's what you do and you feel like it's okay for politicians and for the government to lie to its citizenry for the greater good, well, the greater good can extend into what we see now. Massive, massive, massive corruption on every front. And so that is the reason why I thought it would be apropos to bring this up to us today. Yes, again, hello, how are you? Okay. That is the reason why I thought that after last week when we talked about, the white lies and how they, affect our lives in our personal lives, this story I thought was excellent for us to look at today as sort of like a little dovetail to what we had done last week. Well, I think you guys have figured out that, yes, that is what we are going to do next. The next time we all get together for our trivia night, it is going to be Bible. It will be Bible trivia. So for that, I know everybody is going to be able to take part in it. Joy Trujillo, as well as I think it was Mindy. Mindy said, the trouble is that these lies kill. and get people killed. And that is the truth. So we want to be honest, and we want to make sure that we vet everybody and everything that comes across our path, especially those that we feel, may be worthy of going to speak our voice if we're in local areas. We had a guest who comes on the show quite often. She's been here at least 3 times, and her name is Demita. Demita Miles is up in New York, and they are doing assemblies, small little clusters in communities to keep those that they put in office accountable for whatever it is that they're doing. Whatever it is they put them in office for, they want to keep them accountable. I've always said that I believe that after your first year, that the citizenry needs to bring you back, and they need to sit you down, and they need to take a sheet of paper or a whiteboard or however they feel like doing it, and they need to write down the things you said you were going to do or what they expected when they voted for you, and then they need to juxtapose that to what actually happened. I believe that if things like that had happened in California, people like that old lady that looks like, what's his name? Oh, James Brown. She wouldn't have been able to hang out too much longer, because people would have seen everything that she didn't do. And she's still, listen, that lady has been out there in California for so long, for so many years. Her daughter and her husband and everybody that has anything to do with her on a personal level has all come up on the backs of those who are in California. Okay? So if we would give those folks the opportunity for 1 year, after 1 year, that's what every state needs to write into their law. After 1 year, you're going to be brought back to the citizenry. We're going to look at what you said you were going to do, and then we're going to look at what you accomplished. And if you did not accomplish what we sent you there to do, or you've not even started it, or you backpedaled, then you gotta go. You've gotta go. Right? Yeah, that's Maxine Waters. She needs to go. I'm saying it. I lived in California, and as we just got through seeing the story where people, we don't want to, I don't want to talk about politics. Oh, I can't talk about politics and religion. Oh, I can't talk about Christianity and politics. It's all the same. And it has always been the same. The only reason why they would have ever decided to do anything as it relates to anything biblical was to obtain the eye and the heart and the mind of the people. Because without that, they don't have anybody that they can control. Wow. Well, you guys, I want to thank all of you for being here today. And you're absolutely right, Sharon Marie. Every single one of them are on the payroll. And I just saw recently, I don't know whether I'm going to segue into this right quick because we're about to get out. But listen, has anybody seen the short? There's a short with Maxine Waters speaking to some of the people there in her city. And they are talking about the fact that these are all people who are homeless, and they're all standing there and they're all saying, hey, what's going on? We came up here to get housing and now they've closed it. And she says, well, you guys, and basically what she said was, you guys were all acting so out of sorts that these people that we hired to come down here, they just packed up their computers and they left. Let me see if we can find that, because it's worth saying, because it will definitely, put a nail in all this that we're talking about today. So it was Maxine Waters and the homeless. There it is. Maxine Waters and the homeless right here. She told them all to go home. Let's see if we have a video on this that I can show. If it's from a news source, I can definitely try to use it. Let's see. She was standing outside and she told all of them, you all need to go home. They don't have anything else left. They have nothing left. So you all need to just get ready and go on home. And the people said, well, we don't have no home. We don't have a house. That's why we're here, because we don't have a place to live. So let me go through this and show you guys these, and then we'll all look together to see if there is an actual story that we can show you. And that's all she does. I mean, she used to be very attractive back in the day. She was quite pretty. When I say pretty, I mean she looked like, a regular person. But now, yikes. All that corruption has not set well with her at all. I can't seem to see it. But yeah, she does look like James Brown, and I forgot who that was that said it, but it was a hoot. I forgot who it was. It was a comedian or somebody that called that lady. They called that lady James Brown. Oh, here it is. I wonder if this is something that we can show. Let's see. Let's see. Can we show it? No, this is somebody's story. We can't do that. No, we can't do that one. I need to see a news article like this. Is Rachel here? Rachel, can you see if you can find the news article with her talking to the constituents about it and shoot it to me? Either you or Marty or anybody that has the ability to find it while I look, because I don't want to belabor the time for folks who've got to go. But it was definitely while she stood out there talking to people. And I want to get one that does not belong to another YouTuber. I would like to see if probably ABC or CBS didn't even carry it. Hold on. Okay, let's see. She told them to go home and they said, we can't go home. And she looked like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Let's see KTLA. Let's see KTLA. Let's see if we can find that. You guys got to see this if you haven't seen it already. KTLA. She told them to go home. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. Let's see. Is this it? I don't know. I don't think so. You guys look it up on your own. I wish that I could show you some of the other folks' work, but I don't know them personally. And so I wouldn't be able to get in touch with them to ask them if they would not mind. But it was just recently, and what she did was told everybody to go home because they weren't going to be able to help them. They weren't going to be able to help them. So that to me is in and of itself. It's this story right here. Maxine Waters snaps on homeless people, or Democratic Maxine Waters sparks fury. RedStateObserver.com. I'm not sure who that is. Is that a regular person? Let's see. Or is it a news feed? All right. Do they have the video? Here we go. Okay, here we are. Ooh, good. Let's check it out and see if we can watch this. All right. This is courtesy of the Los Angeles Times here from Greg Price on Twitter. All right. So here we go.
Wilson. Did they move another location where they're taking ads? Is there any more locations than this one?
No, it might have been just so many people out here.
1 minute. I want everybody to go home. And I want
we don't got no home. Okay. That's why we here. Miss Waters, get home. We gonna go too.
Yeah. Just a moment. Just a moment. Nothing is going to happen here today. Nothing is going to happen anymore today.
What about
but
all these names?
What we're gonna
well,
that's what give
Can you leave?
Excuse me. That's why I'm here. And so I will be downtown with LAHSA. I will get the housing authority. That's why they came out here today. I made them come out here. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna go.
And you need to know why they're failing, because Blanca Jimenez repeated, we gave her several meeting requests for you concerning this in LAHSA for years.
Well,
and now they're sitting
there's
here.
Nobody in Washington who works for their people in a harder than I do.
I believe you.
I don't want to hear that.
I believe you. So can we finish though? Work with me.
No.
Work with me so we can house people. That's what I'm doing.
I do every day.
What you do every day? I'm still on the damn street.
The money that you got
She said she doesn't cash out.
in Washington, D.C. I will continue to work. I will get the information. I will no more about you today.
They would never know about you.
Alrighty then. So you saw that, right? You saw that. So can you imagine what's said prior to her having to be voted in again? I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this and that and this is going to happen. Hey, R. Jones, and we're going to do this. Hey, Derek, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to fix this and we're going to fix that. Wow, right? So that is courtesy of the Los Angeles Times that someone had given over to them. Somebody had actually taken the video while they were standing there, and they then furnished the Los Angeles Times with that clip. But it goes right along with what we're talking about. Lying for the greater good? How is it the greater good when the greater good appears to be the pockets that are lined by those who are lying? Think about that. Anyway, you all. We just have to put our trust in nobody but the one who can take care of us. That's it. Put our trust in the Father. That's all. You can't put your trust nowhere else. Nowhere else. All right? So what we're going to do, folks, is go ahead and close this up at 39 minutes and 36 seconds. You guys have been awesome as usual. I'm going to be making my rounds today to a couple of other of our channels, and we will be with each other there, if you all don't mind hanging out with us over on Headlines with a Voice today, as well as I think I'm probably going to go tickle the fancy over there on TLP today, because we've not been over there tickling the fancy. So we're going to have to go over there, okay? All right, folks, I want to tell you guys one thing, and that is that I appreciate each and every one of you, even those who are not able to make a comment in the chat. I so appreciate you for viewing. Please do me a favor. Please, before you all leave, please give this video a thumbs up. In tandem with that, if you have the ability on your channel to share it out, please share it out. I really am thanking each and every one of you in advance, because over the past couple of weeks, you guys have done just that, and we've hit the 3,500 mark here on this channel. I believe that the information that's given from our guests, as well as people who we have come like Lee, like Ronnie, like Dr. B and myself, we're giving great information, and I can see the difference being made in people's lives. So with that said, I'd like to see us get to the 4,000 mark. I really would, because more people would be able to receive the truth. And hey, Amy is in. How you doing, Amy? It's good to see you. Hello, hello. So that's what I would like to do. I'd like for all of us to push these videos and to help get the channel where we need it to be. Hit the like button. And I think that's really that's really it. We are going to have another members only chat, and that will possibly be I know we want to do them once a month, but hey, we had such a good time the other night. We may want to do it again next week, but we are definitely going to do Bible trivia when we come back. So get your Bibles, get that big old Bible, that family Bible that got the grandmama name in it and then the baby's name in it, the baby feet print in it, off of the entry hall table. Blow off that dust and get that big old biblio and come on and join us with the next trivia for members only. And if you are not a member, that's a great opportunity for you to become one and to support the channel and to keep us where we need to be. So you have the opportunity to join. You can join today if you'd like as well. It's very simple. You simply go down into the description, or you can go on the main page, click it. You can become a member. There are several different groups of membership. I'd love to have you as a member, and you guys can take part in all the great fun stuff that we do and the goodies that we have to give away. They ain't that expensive. It's just some way for us to tell you we love you and thank you. Okay? That's what we do. All right, folks. I love each and every one of you, and please remember what we always say here on this channel and any of the Felicia Lockhart Group publications, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the Most High God. You guys take care of yourselves first, and then you can love on everybody else and take care of them. But most importantly, until we see each other again, please continue to be blessed. Just want to let you guys know that if you come back to this video and it is not here, it is because it will be downloaded and put on BitChute. This video will be downloaded and put on BitChute if you come back and you do not see this here. Okay? All right.
Lockhart Perspective.